Welcome. My guest today is Roshni Chellani, wireless engineer by day, career coach and content creator 24/7. From Apple to MediaTek, Roshni has helped build the tech that connects us, and now she helps people connect to their dream careers. With over 10 years in the US and over 7,000 mentees, she brings real stories and strategies that create changes. Roshni, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you today and learn more about what you do and how you help so many people find their dream careers. So thank you and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophie, for having me. That was such a wonderful introduction. If only I see myself that way. I tried to. Thank you.
Maybe
Thank
you should book a coaching call with yourself and you can walk yourself through that.
you. Definitely. But thank you so much for having me. I've been very excited to talk to you. And so this has been my highlight of the day. So
Thank you. It's such a pleasure having you here. And I'm just really looking forward to chatting. And one of the ways I wanted to get started is just to understand, um, it seems like you might have come here from another place originally. And so there's a lot of adjustments that have to go on when somebody is moving to the US from another country. And so I'm just curious about, what surprises did you encounter right off the bat? And how did that shape your career and your career aspirations?
that's a brilliant question. But before that, I just want to also say like hi to our viewers. I know we said it,
Oh,
but I just want to say hi. How are you guys
yeah.
doing? I know like you could be doing anything, but you chose to come in here and like sit on the podcast with us, listen to what we have to say. I think I'm really grateful for that. And I know I can't see these people, I don't know these people, but from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank them that they are here, and I'm really excited to bring out the best things from this conversation that might be helpful to
You're
them.
so gracious. Yes, thank you, listeners.
Yeah.
I
Thank
remember you too. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And coming back to your question, I think what you were asking about the adjustments, right? Um,
Mm.
I think firstly, like just giving a little bit of highlight about my story. I'm from India for 21 years. I stayed in India, and then I come from a little conservative background. My family is progressive, but not like my like extended family and things like that. So we do get married at the age of like 21, 22, something like that, right? So for
Oh,
me, I just wanted to escape that. So for me,
yeah.
into the US was like my way of like, okay, my parents will not have access to me if I move here for education. And then, once I'm educated, once I'm financially independent, maybe I can, have a choice in whatever I want to do, like my own career, my own. So it essentially just wanted to be independent. Like I just wanted to have
Yes.
my own say. And so that was the biggest motivation, I think.
Was it hard to convince your family to let you study here instead of getting married?
It was actually really hard, but like it was very hard in the beginning. But what I did was, which is again like another thing, like, is like you really have to understand what is the communication style of your parents. For like 3 months, I remember I was wearing slippers and it was all like toned because I was like just going behind them that please get convinced that I want to go. I think they thought I'm whimsical. They thought that this is just a phase until my father saw that his credit cards are being charged with like $100 application fees here in US. And like then that's when he was like, no, I think she's really like writing her SOPs and all that stuff. And but what I did was he was still like not, he's like, you can do whatever you want. I'm not gonna give you the fees and this and that. And then it's not that he said a no, but he was just really like seeing how I can convince him. And what I did
Yeah.
was like I asked his manager like what is his like communication style. And then his manager was laughing at me. He's like, your dad only understands money. So
Oh,
I made a presentation. I said like, hey, if you invest this much in my master's, I could be earning this much after that. And in 3 years, I should be able to pay you off whatever you are investing in me. And like instead of a loan, I could pay you off, or I can
yes.
actually sponsor my siblings' education. Like I gave him like,
Ooh, so you gave him multiple options in his love language of data and financial numbers.
exactly. And that was the first time he said, like, okay, let's talk. Like that was the first time
Wow.
he heard me because he's like, she really means it. She has done her research. She knows what she is doing. And then, I think that was like, okay, that was also a moment for me to learn like, okay, if I'm speaking one language, another person is speaking another language, we can't really understand. We just really have to see what is their understanding, like if I'm speaking Spanish, the other
Yeah.
person is speaking English, it's not gonna sit anywhere, right?
But even to your dad who speaks your native tongue, we can still be communicating in different languages with each other.
Exactly. It's not about like just the language, it's about the style. You see, like, okay,
Yes.
this person comprehends language is essentially to transfer ideas from one mind to the other mind, right?
Yeah.
So like you really have to see how this mind perceives information. So I have
Right.
to like put
Right.
that up. And so that's why like giving that the reason I gave you this background is because I was looking forward to coming here with like the adjustments and all those kind of things.
And you eventually found your way to University of Texas at Dallas for your master's in double E, right?
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I was very clear that I wanted to do masters and then I wanted to study and also like directly go to the job phase. Like I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to go towards, any research or academia or like these kind of things.
Okay.
I was sure that I have to earn so that I can, to, like keep the promise that I made to my
Right.
dad. So there was a
Right.
bit of pressure.
Because how many people's education did you end up committing to be able to come?
No, I mean my brother and sister. I told them that I'll basically sponsor one of your, kids' education, which is my
Okay.
sibling, and I did, which is my sister's
That's
education.
amazing.
Exactly,
Congratulations.
which was fun. Like I was like, oh, I did it, and they didn't like. I think that was just in that moment. But what they were expecting of me is like to know what I'm doing and to commit to it, and then really follow through. And I
Yeah.
did. So that was great. But like coming to the original question, the adjustments, I think. I come from like a family where there's a lot of people and then coming here, flying across and then coming where you don't know anyone. So I think that was a huge adjustment. So I do
Mhm.
remember like in my first semester, I did go to like the counselors that are there, not the therapists, just the counselors, the career counselors and things. So they told me that this is what you're experiencing is like shift from one country to the other country and like that kind of thing. But I actually like adapted to it pretty well too because I was like, I now can make my own decisions, right? This is what is comes with the other side, right? So
There are some benefits.
exactly, yeah. And like from big things to small things, like, I think like even when you go to a bus, you see a driver, like the bus driver greeting you that, hey, young lady, you can sit over here. I don't think so. We do that in India. So no, if somebody does that, it would be culturally taken in such a wrong way.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe like the first time this happened, I was like, okay. So it's just like, and then I was thinking, how, till what age will this person call me young? Will I be young even when I am
Yeah.
this age? It was just like so funny for me. And like small talks, like people here in a grocery store do small talks and these kind of things, right? Which was like very interesting. Like people are smiling and greeting and these kind of things. So
Right.
I think that was, it's not an adjustment, but it was a surprise. It was a very pleasant surprise to see that, people exchange smiles and it's very cordial. They open doors for each other. Like, those kind of things like were like, I just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So, what was your North Star that got you through those tougher moments when you were at the beginning? What kept you going?
There were multiple things. Number one was I always love like, learning. So I think that was what I was focusing on. And as I said, like I lived with my parents for 21 years. So yes, my first semester was like all party mode, like the newfound freedom, it's like, and then like I have never lived with roommates, so adjusting to roommates,
Yes.
like those kind of things were there. So, but what kept me going was the woman I wanted to be. I didn't know what I
Mhm.
want to do, but I had a very clear vision of the woman I want to be, which is basically, or the person I want to be, which is like, I do want to have a good career. I do want to earn my own money. I do want to, have my own house, which I did buy by myself even when I was not married. So those kind of things were very like those milestones were very clear for me. And I think it just like that is what kept me going. Like I know that
Mhm.
even if I have to, let's say, go back to India, I want to get good internships over here, which is why I got like an internship at Apple, at Intel. I did 3 internships in my master's, which is usually unheard of. But
Mm.
because I was very clear that if at all I have to go back, I don't have to go back to my parents. I have to kind of be like independent. So
Yeah.
that was my entire North Star in
So
that way.
amazing. Well, and now you help people with a lot of life hacks, including, landing jobs, figuring out your career, running away from your engagement, so many topics that you've recently been posting about, which is so interesting. But specifically, I think a lot of people listening to this podcast are immigrants or aspiring immigrants. Maybe a lot of them are F1 international students, and they have the goal that they want to work for Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, like all of these amazing, Amazon, all these amazing tech companies.
Mhm.
And we'll just call them FANGs because that's what people call them. So that's a huge goal for so many people. Um, how how do people do it? And can you walk us through any key moments or strategies through your application and interview processes, and how they made a difference?
Yes, I think that's a very good question, and it does let me like reflect back on my journey, like how I got into Apple. And so firstly, I'll basically break this into a triangular approach, which is basically I will set the foundation, and then we'll go to the top layer on what really matters when you're applying for FANG, right? And I have helped a lot of students also to get into FANG, so that's when like okay, there is this one thing that I did, but there's also another thing that like when I told my students, and I could see that yes, it's working for them. um
Mhm.
like number one thing, which is I think it's very cliched, but people don't really look at it in the way they should, and I really want the viewers to kind of ask themselves this question, right? Like say
Mhm.
for example, their dream is to get into Google, right? Or
Mhm.
let's say their dream is to get into Apple.
Mhm.
First is, do you really believe you can get into Apple?
Mm.
It's is it like is there a desire in you, but their desire is backed up by a strong belief that yes, I can get into Google. I have what it takes to get into Google. I can crack this. You see,
Oh,
when
it's
you
not
say
like, oh, maybe I can do it if I'm lucky, but I'll try, but I don't know because it's hard, but I'll try.
yes, and that's a different voice. Did you see that? Like that.
Yeah.
When you're not believing in yourself, there is a different
Right.
voice, right? And you can scale it. Like people, folks here can take an exercise over here, and then they can just scale it like from 0 to 10, right? When you say that I want to get a job at Google, do you really believe in it? Right? Or it
Mm.
could be anything that you're looking for it to get into your life, right? Hey, I want this, right?
Hmm.
Believe it from a scale of 1 to 10, right?
Yeah.
Let's say if you're at 5, that basically means like you have resistance, but it can be worked as well. And of course, if even if you're at 1, it can be worked, but it is like you have to work really hard on it, right? So the
Right.
one thing I saw when I was working with my students, they were always so not confident that they can get into, like I remember this one student who got into Meta when he took my course, and his first belief was that he cannot crack it. It's too hard, you see. And even though he has what it takes, he was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I don't think so, it's possible, or things like that. So the first thing is that, like, from scale of 1 to 10, you see where you are, and then every single day, really work with that belief that, yes, it's possible for me, like, okay. And like, it's not like, okay, I want to get a job at Google. It could be like, what can I do to get a job at Google? Who can I talk to get a job at Google? Can I review the resume of someone who's working at Google in my field, right? Can I get
Mm-hmm.
my resume reviewed from someone who's working at this place? And I basically see what are the questions that they ask in an interview, or can I ask them to mock interview me, right? And now when you're a student, this is very like these are very inaccessible thoughts, because
Mm-hmm.
you're like, how can I reach out to someone on like at Apple, right? And
Right.
that's where like I would tell that students that when I came in fall, and I was looking for a summer internship. Like a lot of students, I did not get a summer internship, and it definitely took a hit on my ego as well as on my plans of like wanting to have like a career here. So what I did was I decided to kind of just break it down. Like I was like, okay, like that's what I'm saying. The first thing is the belief in that triangle, right? Now
Mhm.
we are actually going to, once you fix that belief, I'm going towards the strategies, which is like
Mhm.
how you could actually do the how part of it.
Mhm.
So what I did was I was like, I want to work at these five companies. Like let's say, and I'm in wireless domain, so it's not like I can work in Meta, because Meta does not, fundamentally do this wireless. They do. They have like a location here in Los Angeles also, where they do
Mm.
these kind of things, but it's not exactly. It's kind of tangential rather than the core. The core company that does wireless communication is Qualcomm, and now we have like other companies that are sprouting as well, which is now Apple, of course, was there as well. But again, Apple was working on what finished product Qualcomm and Intel is doing, like giving them modem, and then Apple is using its own AP. So yeah, but long story short, what I say is, number one, what are the five companies that you want to work for?
Mhm.
Excel sheet, right? I have a job tracker. I put it there, like I want to work at these five companies.
Mhm.
Number two, who in my present circle can help me talk to people in these companies?
Mhm.
Most of the times, students are like, oh, I don't have anybody, who I can talk to from my friend circle, because their friend circle
Mhm.
is their roommates, their friends who are in
Right.
the same right domain, like professors, like those kind of things. But you can go to professors, right? You can,
Mhm.
like, because your professors have like a
Right.
bank of
They have tons of students who have gone on to these companies who
exactly.
would love to pay it back and help the professors and do a favor.
Yes, and do the homework. Go to LinkedIn, go to your professor's profile, see
Mhm.
like what are the alumni that this person is connected to, right? And then
Right.
basically just fill their mouth that, hey, I saw that you're connected to this person. Would you just like I would just appreciate if you can solicit an intro. Here's an intro message that I've written as well to make a
Roshni, why do you recommend five companies? Why not 100? Or why not 10 or 20, for example?
you can totally do 10 also. Like you can
Okay.
do
Okay. Okay. We got permission for 10. Okay,
yes,
great.
yes. You can do 10, even 15 is okay. But I would say the more narrow you are, the more, you know, um, I would say streamlined your process and approach would be. In a market
Okay.
like this, I would suggest to cast a wider net. So 10 to
Okay.
15,
Okay.
companies. When I was applying, I wanted just basically five companies, five big companies, right?
Yeah.
That I wanted to kind of work. And that time it was Qualcomm, Apple, Broadcom. I remember it was Ericsson, and then I think Samsung. So these were the five companies that I wanted to work with. Even I think Google, but I know Google also is not like core a wireless company. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get but Intel also, yes, Intel was a big one
Oh, okay.
in
Yeah.
that time. So I was saying, yeah, five companies, the reason being because the more narrow it is, the more people you can talk to in
Well,
that.
because at this point, you're not just spamming the job applications, applying for every one. This is a more strategic.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And I will break it down. Like, for example, first is basically the list of companies. Number two is basically who in your friend circle you can talk that works at these companies, right? And it could be your professors, it could be your teaching assistants, right?
Hmm.
Teaching assistant have like a plethora of students that they're connected to who have, now working at these
Right.
companies, right? It could be your alumni that you can find on LinkedIn as well, right? Like you can connect. And I know what questions people are getting in their mind, which is how. I have already reached out to these people, Roshni, how, right? So I'm also
Right.
going to land up to that question. But that's a second, like you really have to reach out to these people. You have to find these people in an Excel. In fact, I would go to the extent of from Apple, I know these five people, or I just know this one person over here, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to this one person that I know. I'm going to get my resume reviewed. I'm going to basically just ask them for everything that I need help with. Um, and then I'm going to ask this person to refer, like, just introduce me to two more people. Like,
Mm.
like you work at Apple, can you introduce me to two more people that would be willing to talk to me,
Yeah.
right? I promise I am not going to take too much of their time, just a 15-minute call or even an editable Google Doc that they can just review and send their suggestions to, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
hey, like when you ask someone for direction, some people might sit with you and show you the direction. Some people might just tell you like how to use Google Maps.
Yeah.
Some people just basically tell you how to do it, right?
Right.
Each one for its own, however they want to, right? It all matters is like how you receive it and how you act upon it, right? So
Yes.
that's like that was the third thing. Like when you like you talk to people, you ask them for more people to talk to, but you get yourself mock interviewed, you get your resume reviewed, right? And I specifically what I did was I started asking of industrial application of the academic projects that I was working on, right? Because I was, and also I did not do this deliberately. That's who I am as a person. Like I'm always very curious. Now you can see, right? Like I talk, so I do talk. So it's like opening up a bottle, like, okay, I want to know this, and what does this mean? So I think I particularly remember when I asked a lot of industrial applications, and it was funny that the one person that I spoke to who was my cousin's friend who works at Apple. See how I
Okay.
found like my
Yeah.
cousin is in India. He
Wow.
doesn't live here in the States.
Wow.
Exactly. But he had a friend who works here at Apple. And then I spoke to this person, and this person literally, I remember when I spoke to him, it was a phone call, but I remember his voice was so concerned seeing my resume, like as a student, because he's like, oh my God, like these lines are not straight. And this is like, this, you do not need these like high font colors. I used blue color because I loved blue. So I was like, and he just basically like, oh my God, like this. And that was the first break I got, I would say, because he explained it.
Amazing.
Yeah, like I was so off. Like I remember after that conversation, I realized I'm so off base than what actually goes on in the industry, right? And
Right.
so he gave me some pointers, and then he I tried to do it, and he still felt like, she's not getting anywhere. He was very kind. I'm so
Oh,
exactly, he was so kind to just review it and send me his
yeah.
suggestions. I think in the end, what he did was he gave me his resume as a reference, and he told
Oh, that's
me.
your roadmap for everything you can accomplish.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And this is during the time when we don't find resumes on LinkedIn. Now
Okay.
we have view my resume on LinkedIn.
Right.
So you can actually pull anybody's resume.
Yeah.
Now it's possible. This is during that time, like maybe 7, 8 years ago, or like that time when you cannot find people's resume. You see,
Yeah.
like that. So what I did was once he gave me his resume, he's told me, of course, I can't take his experience because that's very different. So I was like, okay. But then he told me, take the format, like
Yeah.
put this into your resume, like put your resume into this format. I did
Mhm.
that. And then he liked it. He's like, okay, fine. Now this at least looks presentable. And then to the next person, because I'm like, okay, fine. Like I don't want to bother him so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Did introduce me to one more person, and when I spoke to that person gave me the industrial application of the projects that I'm working on, and that helped me to know, oh, like I'm like literally I'm making notes. I'm like, this is what my academic project is, and this is where it's actually used for.
Oh, amazing.
This. And if there is any viewers from RF domain, what I'm talking about is like a transceiver chain, which we learned in RF systems. But where is it used? Where it's used in our modem, which is in our phones, right? There is actually like a transmitter in our phone as well, right? Like if you
Wow.
remember crosstalks, like you used to call like maybe 15, 20 years ago, you call someone and it might go to someone else or interference,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, but that used to happen. Like, who am I talking to? I don't know. Wrong. It got
exactly.
misrouted. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the fix that RF engineers did, which is wireless engineers did. We
Okay.
made sure that if we are calling at this frequency, then we should have only, less interference from other frequencies to this frequency. So he
Oh,
explained it to me in a way like, oh, this makes sense. Then I would also ask, like, okay, I had a 20-minute conversation, and then after 2 days, I would write an email. Hey, you explained it to me. I read this from Broadcom's page, and I think this also means this, right? And then they would confirm, right? But they were enrolled, like little did I know, they were enrolled in my progress, in my
yes.
success. And
Yes.
because they saw that this girl, if I'm giving one to this person, she's taking it to 10, right? So
Yeah.
there, and also a lot of people think that, Roshi, what are they gonna get? Like they're investing their time,
Like, what if you upset them by asking for too much? Then you've ruined a relationship. That definitely has gone through my mind.
Exactly, yes, right. And also that you could also be feeling, if you're a good person, you would also feel that what if I take too much and I don't have anything to give, right? Like I think that's a huge mental block that students have. What I do for this is always mirror, right? Like if the other person is giving, then always like, then you should be willing to like ask for things, right? But if the other person is curt, or if the other person is basically like, okay, I can do this, step back, like if they can give two, you just ask for one. If they can give
Yeah.
you one, like even like, don't ask for anything.
Yeah.
Be happy
Yeah.
in one, right?
And here's a weird aspect of human psychology that I learned about when I was starting my law firm, and I needed a lot of help because I had to go find mentors and figure out what I was doing. I didn't have anybody who I could just, talk to for help. I was so scared to ask for help. And then I read something that said, if somebody helps you, they are more willing to like you. So positive social connection can be a result of people offering you help. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to ask for help, because the more I ask these people for help, the more they're going to like me. So after I learned that, I felt liberated to just ask as many people. And of course, give back, pay it forward, all of that. But I felt so relieved to learn that.
Yeah, I literally had goosebumps when you said that, because I never saw it in this way, but that is literally exactly like you
Right.
articulated it so well. There is this positive social connection, right? And
Yeah.
I asked someone who for mentorship, and I was literally thinking, what is this person gonna get? Because what can I give to this person that he doesn't have, right?
Right. Somebody, so sage with wisdom, advanced in their career. What on earth can you do?
Exactly, yo. And you know what I did? I asked them that, hey, I would appreciate if you could contribute to my journey, and take this time to reflect on your own, like, like take time to
Oh,
reflect from your journey to help me,
oh, that's a
and
beautiful gift.
exactly. And then when my mentor, like, we like kind of broke the ice, and then, that person also told me the same thing. Like, the reason we like to mentor is because we do want to pass on what we have learned, and we do want to see growth in other person's life. Also, we do want to feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, it's
Right.
true.
Exactly. When you mentor someone, when you help someone, when you plant, like a flower or something, or plant, something, and then that blossoms, there is happiness that, yes, I was a part of her journey, right? Like, so that is a big deal. So people, like, I want to tell people that they always think that why are people going to help me on LinkedIn? People are very willing to help. Like, it's just about the ask also, right? Which is now the other part of it. Like, it all
Mhm.
depends. Like, I think what I said, like, I ask them, I talk to them, I track all that, who I'm talking to, who I need to follow up with also. Like, or let's say, for example, if somebody told me that, Roshni, I want you to do this, I
Oh,
would
you always follow up 100% of the time.
exactly.
Always.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
close the loop, right? Hey, and you
Yep.
make them a part of your growth, your
And
journey.
that builds trust.
That builds trust, that builds good positive sentiment as well. And also that
Mhm.
I'm not just here to get a job. I'm here because I really want to learn, and I want to establish this connection, right? Like, that is the crux, right? When you're looking for a job, you need to look for people, like, not like when you're looking for a job, look for people who can give you the job, right? And
Wow. Yeah.
people aspect of it is like connection, right? Like, there is, I think what I really like don't understand is when you go to LinkedIn and you like someone's profile and you are like, I want to connect to this person, you go and hit that connect button, right?
Mhm.
You forget that word actually means connection,
Yeah. It's just
right?
like, oh, somebody sent me a request. Okay, accept. Done.
Request to connect, right?
Yeah.
Now we are so digital where that we're forgetting the actual essence of that
Right.
word, right? Like, did you really connect with that person? Did you connect on a level, right? And
Yeah.
that's where I'm going. Like, now then you have to find something from their profile, something from their journey that you're curious about, and you
Mm.
ask them. One of the really good messages that I had liked, and I want to give a template to our viewers, is basically like, there was this one message that he asked me, that he said that I really enjoy your post. It's really inspiring, but that alone is not the reason that I'm messaging you. I need
Mm.
help with basically UTD's program, and I would genuinely appreciate if you can give me some time to talk to you about it. I know, and it was also very like smart how he did it. He's like, I know you're very busy, so a 15-minute call would just help resolve all my queries, or I can just send you like an editable doc, or like in these days we have Notion, right? Like
Yeah.
just editable Notion things that you can put like, hey, these are my questions. Can you just fill it out when you have just 10 minutes? If you don't like this, please send me a voice message. I'm totally fine with that, right?
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and
Wow.
that was a brilliant message, because that
Yeah.
made me stop. I was like, this guy really, like, put it like, it's not like he tried to do a strategy, but he was really trying to get help. And he was
Yeah.
like, I value your time.
being authentic, being vulnerable. And just to put it into context, if you're a person who gets a lot of mentorship requests or connection requests in one of these platforms, I do. And we also experience a lot of spam, a lot of advertising, a lot of generic AI generated messages. So if you're a real human asking for real help and you can tell, it's like, oh, of course.
So true. I'm sure you would be getting a lot of applications just all written by AI, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
totally.
I want to ask you, how does that make you feel? Because I want to really like let the viewers who do that understand how it feels on the reception side, right? Like,
Um, the candidates that are the job candidates that are, attorneys or law clerks or interns that are easiest for me to connect with are the ones that come through a referral or who have attended my webinars and who ask follow-up questions or who write me emails and keep me apprised of their progress throughout their law school journeys. And those are the people that I feel connected to. So when an opportunity does arise, I'm like, oh, hey, wasn't your friend available for this? Or, oh, we've been in touch, but yeah, I'd love to consider you. So building up those relationships over time, that compound interest is invaluable.
yeah, yeah. I think, and I what I can also hear is that when you want to hire someone, you really want to hire someone. Like
Oh
that's what
yeah. It's like if you need to hire somebody, you needed to hire them yesterday.
exactly, yes.
You
And
don't
then
have like 6 months to do the best search ever.
yes, yes. And that is a very good insight for people who are looking for a job. The reason for that is because they go into the interview with so much of stress and pressure. They need to know that the interviewer themselves is under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
So,
Yes. The
like,
interviewers are just making it up as they go along. So
yeah, we really are like, come here, please do this job because if you don't do it, we have to do it. So I have a problem. And you are the fix. So interviewers are really looking for to hire you more than you want to get hired. Right?
exactly, exactly.
So,
Yes, yes, go with that. Well, but then Roshni, what about a situation with more time pressure from the applicant side, like a layoff situation, or if somebody is on a 60-day grace period and given the economy, have you ever been in that situation, or what advice would you give somebody who's trying to find a job rapidly?
yeah, I was laid off as well in 2023, and honestly, that was just 15 days after my wedding. So,
Congratulations.
no, it was, and both of us, like me and like I and my husband.
No.
Yes, we both heard the news. It was very funny. It was like, oh,
What?
like I got an email, like a message from my director in the morning, and I was having my breakfast. I was sick that day, and I was like, oh, he's messaging me, and I told my husband, I'm getting laid off, and he's like, no, that can't happen. Don't worry, blah blah blah. And
Oh,
my director was like, can we get on a video call? I was like, okay, but I can't put the video on because I'm sick. So, I just wanted to let you know. He's like, sure, sure. I got to know that I am laid off, and like the next thing I'm asking is like, okay, till when can I be here and things like that, like all those.
right,
Then
right.
the vibe in the home was okay, I'm laid off, at least my husband has a job, so it's okay, financially we can survive, like that's fine. And then
Mhm.
the next thing, he gets an email from
Oh,
his
no.
boss, and
How
we're
soon thereafter?
literally after like 1 or 2 hours, like literally after 1 or
Oh,
yeah, and we're in the same company, by the way. So that's why that happened because the
oh, okay.
entire modern division was being let go, and we were like,
Wow.
oh my God. And so when his boss like sent him a message, I was like face palming. I was like, my husband was like before that, my husband was like, oh, I'll get a better job, like I'll give you all my sign-on bonus. Don't worry, we'll be fine. I'll be okay. And I'm like, what? When he lost his job, he was so he's like, I really do need to find a job now. I was like,
Wow.
we both need to find. So it was like I would say a tough day, I think, for us.
Yeah.
Is that, like, okay, what do we do now? Like, where do we go? So people, for like the question that you asked, and the folks that are going through this, I think even people who have a job are going through a tough time because like your career is stalled. You can't ask for
Yeah.
promotion. You in like like with all the tariffs also happening, things are going to get expensive. They're already expensive. Like I'm from San Diego, and San Diego is one of the most expensive cities now. I think recently it is the most expensive city. It has crossed even SF in terms of rent and all.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we were like in a tough spot, and you know what you're saying, when there is a sense of urgency also, right? But I did exactly the same when, even when there was a sense of urgency. And honestly, one more thing I added was I was very vigilant. Like I was very vigilant
Mm.
of any opportunities. Like if there is an opportunity that has popped up, like a job application, I would apply it within 1 hour. I would apply it within like 30 minutes, right? I was one time I was eating and I saw a notification pop up. I stopped my eating. I shouldn't do that, but I stopped eating and I was like, no, I'm first gonna go apply and
Wow.
then do this. So you have to be very vigilant. And I think what I like my internship was during the time when LinkedIn was not that big. Like, I got
Mhm.
my internship by outreaching a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. When I was laid off, LinkedIn was at a stage where you could do inbound. Like you could
Oh,
have a lot of inbound, basically means you can put up a post and you
right,
can have visibility, right?
right,
So I
right.
actually tapped into the power of like putting out things where I'm looking for help.
Oh.
That is what like gave me the fastest. I lost my job in May, and I told myself I'm gonna get an offer letter till August 1st.
Mhm,
And if I
mhm.
do, and I had just had till time till September mid. If not, I have to fly from this country,
Yeah,
like to go. Like I just had this much time. So during these layoffs, company gives you 2 months, and then you have 2 months of grace period to be here,
right.
right? So that's how it is. So I had 4 months. I was laid off on May 17th. I had till September 17th to be here. And I knew, of course, I can't wait till September 17th. I was like, August 1st, if I don't get any offer letter, I'm moving like back and I'm going to pack bags because that also takes time, right? Like all those kind of things. So, but what I did was I gave my best to this process with all the techniques that I gave, which is I also shortlisted. I also like spoke to people who are in my network. Thankfully, I had invested time in having a good network, right?
Mhm.
Which was, I think, also, it's also like, because I've helped so many people to get a job, naturally, so many people wanted to help me, even without me asking, also. Like, that was also a good
Oh,
thing. So that
that's
was there. But I went through a discrimination also. I went through like people asking why were you laid off and prying on it, like, and then after the interview you're crying that why you, like, it's, I would never know. I have to be
you never know. Yeah.
answer this question, like literally. So
And
when-
sometimes it's it's a great person, but there might be a slightly better person and there's only one job opening. And you would still like to hire that person, but you just can't right now. Like it
ex-
might be completely nothing to do with you.
exactly, yeah, and my rating actually was 4 out of 5, so it left me really confused as well, because I was like what what did I do over here? And I did
Wow.
my director also that, do you think this was performance based? I just want to get an answer, like you always want to get closure. And he said it's headcount based, like performance based is over, so like it's I really, yeah. So in the beginning I think there was a lot of like why blah, like emotional like stuff. I think I just gave myself 2 weeks to go through that. After that, I was like, like you have to just pull up your socks, and this is like, I think I'm another thing I would say to anybody who is in any stage in their life, radical acceptance is a thing. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are the cards that God has given me. How am I going to deal with it? What is my best card? What is my worst card?
Right.
The
Right.
layoff is my worst card. Best card was I have people that I can tap into,
Yeah.
right? And I have LinkedIn that I can actually go to. And I just like, just to cut the story short, I um I got the job. I was like very much, it was also very funny how I got it, but just cutting the long story short, I got the job and my husband still was struggling to get the job. And I just told him
You
to.
should have believed it was possible more.
Exactly, he was not like I was just telling him, why don't you put it out on LinkedIn? Why don't you put it out?
Yeah.
And like, it's like knocking the door and then you're like, no, I don't think so. I want to be that vulnerable on LinkedIn, because it's like also very like a judge, like people can judge you also, right? Like your friends can judge you, right?
But I think that just talking about LinkedIn posts, the more vulnerable ones get the most response. And then your friends are like, oh, well, I guess you look important because all those people said something to you. So I'm not going to judge you because now you're impressive. So that's
Yes,
also human
yes, yes.
psychology.
It's like, it's like until you do that, you get to know, right?
Yeah.
until you do that, you are like, okay, it's being received really well. But before that, everything is in your head. How are
Yeah.
people going to judge me? What are my friends going to think? Like, like how, and I'm telling you, I've spoken to so many people who are laid off. None of them want to write a post because they are like so
You're
ashamed. They
ashamed.
put so much of pressure on themselves that
And
how can I?
no, people want to help you. So many
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
would help you if you just say it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And they don't believe that. So with my husband also, he was also like, no, no, no. And then December came, just like the cold winter. His
Yeah.
applications were also cold.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was like, okay, now this is not happening. Then January, February, I was like, okay, now you should write a post. And then I am a creator as well, right? I'm a content creator. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a post for you. All you have to do is just post it. And then he's like, no, I can't do that. And I was like, okay, give me your account access. I will do it for you, right? And then
Yeah.
but till that time, he was like, okay, there's nothing I could do. Like he's running out of ideas. So
Yeah.
what we did was first is like because he was like, everybody's going to office and his life is like stalling, right? Like he's like, what can I do? So I got him like a controller from Amazon and I was like, okay, why don't you start coding on this? And whatever codes and lessons you learn, we'll put it on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
GitHub repo as well. And
Oh,
we did three posts. First post, second post, third post. Average views were 5 to 10,000. Not even like a lot, right? That's not a
yeah.
lot.
Okay.
But it was still backed up with positivity in his like
Right.
his feed, right? Like this person is going through this, but he's showing up. He's showing
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
you cannot believe after the third post, he got a job offer.
What?
Literally, after the third post, he got a job offer, and that too with a double promotion. Like he was an engineer, and then he got it with the staff. Like it skipped the senior.
Okay, Roshni, you just need to do everybody's LinkedIn post for them, please.
Oh my God. I can send people a template if they want. Like I can send people because that's where it was like, whoa, and he was surprised. He was like,
Wow.
why didn't you tell me to do this before? And it's like,
You did from day one. It's your methodology. Doesn't he
exactly.
know what you do?
Yeah, yeah. And it was just so funny, and like it was just a stage where we went through so much, but then we also found like these gold mines that this link.
Right. That's a beautiful learning experience. Any quick tips for somebody who's not laid off, but looking, but as you mentioned, their promotion is stalled out? Any way for them to try to break through right now?
I think, I mean, in general for promotion, and I will also say like in this market, it's a tough thing to climb the ladder because companies don't have the budgets and these kind of things, right? But what I really focus on is like the visibility aspect of things, right? That is something that you could control. So be more visible, right? And it does not have to be more work, but more visible work, right? So I
Mm.
really like don't be on the sidelines of like the projects, right? Like get more visible work from your company.
Look,
And
and as a manager, as a business owner, I have 1,000 things going on. I can't track everything everybody does, but I would love to know all the successes and everything somebody accomplished and what they're proud of. I would be so thrilled. And if you don't tell me, I might not know, frankly, because it's an organization now with lots of moving parts.
exactly, yes. And also like the as you said, the boss is always very busy. So you are the one who has to. And I even recently, just 2, 3 days ago, I was given like an appreciation for something that I accomplished from headquarters, like which is not here. So I went to my boss and said, hey, did you see this email? Did you reply to this email? Because I can't reply. Because it was an appreciation for me, but at the same time, it was like the senior director something appreciating. So it should be at the director level or things like that. But I went and showed it to him that, hey, by the way, did you
Yeah.
see this? And he's like, yeah, I wanted to loop back with you and then I'll reply to this. But that was my subtle way to let him know.
Please
Yeah,
reply. Please
exactly.
reply. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
then how do you think that people can stay relevant given AI? That's another thing that's changing.
I think the only way it is like, really start learning like AI.
Mhm.
Like be the friend of AI because it's like it's an enemy that you cannot defeat, but you have to like, really be in like good books of this. It's so interesting. Recently I was seeing a project experience of a new grad, and this person has like done this project in generative AI. And I was like, oh my God, like, I did not do all these projects 10 years back when I was in school, right? I did not study all this, and I'm not studied now also, right? The people that are getting education now, they have an edge. These are AI, like, like pro
Mhm.
kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you are already in the workplace, then you do need to keep up. And Open Academy, by the way, has a lot of free AI
Hmm.
courses that have come
Okay.
up, and it's great. It's for intermediate people, for beginners, for all of us, like, so I think
Mhm.
number one is to not be scared to actually learn the technology. I am from tech, so I really know the importance of kind of like just really being in touch with what's happening. Another thing, the world is going to move faster than we think, like the changes that we have seen in 5 years, like the world was different in 2020, if you know, right? Like
We're just on this accelerating timeline, and whatever used to take 10 years now takes 5, and now it's going to take 2 and then 1. And it's like the news cycles.
Yes, exactly, right? Like, and if you really see, people's working capability is reducing also. Like, what my parents, how much number of hours my father puts and the number of hours I put, it's like very different. I can see that. So now with the generations to come, it's Gen Zs and all, it's even going to get lesser, and the dependability on AI is going to increase even more. So the only way to be relevant is to really educate yourself of this technology, like,
Yeah.
all the stuff that's happening around, and one day at a time.
Okay. Some lightning round questions. Most underrated skill that people should master to move up in their careers?
Ah, I don't know how to say this without saying it, but like being in the good books of your boss, like I think like
Right.
I'm the most euphemistic way to say this. I used to believe good work could do everything, but I have seen people who just by talking, like are like, people are just like, I've asked the same question, but I would be given a no, but the same person is asking in such a sweeter way and such a like a, like, and then they're getting a yes. And then that's when I learned the hard lesson. You know? So yes, it's as simple as
It
that.
matters. It matters. Okay. Next one. What mindset shift should people make to overcome self-doubt?
Hmm. I think number one is awareness. I feel
Oh,
like, whenever I've had self-doubt, there's so many times that I was not even aware that this is like a version of self-doubt, right? So number one thing I feel like is awareness that this is self-doubt, and like self-doubt will create I have this slogan written, self-doubt kills more dreams than, like actions ever would, like these kind of things, right? So
yes.
think that is there. But yeah, what could you do with, you really need to, I think it's more about self-esteem, how
Mhm.
much you have worked on your self-esteem, and like
Mhm.
the applicability of this is imposter syndrome, right? So
Yes.
it's really like you have to see what your accomplishments are. It's sometimes very hard to see that with this day and age where we can compare ourselves easily, right?
Yeah.
But how to deal with that is like really keep your like accomplishments at the forefront. Like could be a sticker on your desk that these are
Right.
things I've accomplished, right? So
And going back to your point on awareness, one mental hack that I had to learn at some point, because total imposter syndrome, negative self-talk, really had to dig myself out of a ditch. But one of the things I learned that helped me was that people who are very accomplished or experienced or capable often feel the most self-doubt. So
mm,
I actually was like, oh, well, maybe my self-doubt is correlated with my ability. And maybe it's a sign that I'm actually good at what I do because I know there's so much more to learn. So I think knowing that too can be helpful for people.
yes, 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 and it's a brilliant hack. And there was this one person who told me that when they get a self-doubt, they ask themselves the most stupid questions that they can answer, like the most stupid, silly things that they could do, which is basically like she's like, "Can I draw a Mickey Mouse?" Like a simple.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I can do it. That means I can do this as well.
Oh, wow.
And I used to apply this when I was in my school, when I was like, oh, I don't know this subject and I have an exam. And I'll be like, what are the two, three simple questions from
Mhm.
particular course that I can answer? And I'll be like, yeah, I know this answer. I know this answer. I know this answer. Okay. I think, I'm good, right? I think
Yeah.
what you're saying, it's a graph of your competence and ability, and you think you're not as competent.
Mm. It's so important to be aware.
Mm.
And so many of these tips are super valuable. As we're coming to the close of this podcast, are there any other tips or pieces of advice or hacks that might be helpful to people that you'd like to share?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. I feel like you just have to, I think it's again a cliched thing, but have a very positive outlook onto, your life and your career. And it's never too late to change anything, right? I think a lot of people get stagnated in their career, or they feel it's now they can't change because they've been in this career for X years, right? My only advice to people is that like it's never too late to change. Always have a positive outlook, and find within yourself, that keep going, uh,
Mhm.
strength, right? So
Mhm.
I feel like that is what I feel like. We live in a very instant gratification world, so I just want the world to kind of turn inward a lot more, and you have beautiful, beautiful gifts, and the fun is in unwrapping it, you see, not sitting on it, right? Like, so I feel like, for example, if you somebody gives you a gift, the point of like unwrapping it, like, oh yeah, what's there? What am I think she has given me this or that. That's more fun than actually seeing the gift, right? Then you put it aside, right?
Right.
So if like you might be at a stage where you're like, I don't know what I should do, or I don't know. You have a gift and like, unpack it. And that is more fun, like unpacking that gift.
Oh. Anticipation is half the reward.
Yes,
And
yes.
then anything is a bonus. You're like, oh my gosh, I discovered it does this. It can do that. Oh, wow. How great.
Exactly, yeah. And the world needs it, like your gift, because there was a lot of times, for example, from my story, I never thought I could write well, right? Like, and I'm an engineer, so trying to write well on LinkedIn and things like that, it's not something I thought I could do. But when I
Yeah.
practiced it, I could see
You've
that.
written a book, Roshni, haven't you?
No, I have not written. I am
Oh,
on.
you're
I'm
on it.
on
You're on it. We're going to hold you
it.
accountable. We believe that you can do it. And we're
Thank
going to
you. If
support
you
you.
if you have any suggestions for like, someone editors or things like that, please.
Lots of accountability partners.
Yes. Oh, please, please. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would say.
So beautiful, Roshni. Well, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you. I'm very grateful to you that you took this time to share your experience, your words of wisdom, your hard-earned experience and advice with our listeners. I know that everybody's really going to benefit from hearing this discussion, and especially because people can be going through hard times and feeling so alone, and just having that friendly voice to feel the solidarity and community, that this is a place that you don't have to be ashamed of, and lots of people go through it. And there can be a really exciting light at the end of the tunnel that you don't even know you're approaching. And it could be the greatest gift if you're in one of these situations right now. So just thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your words of wisdom with us, Roshni. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed this
Thank
a
you.
lot. I hope our viewers also. So please write back to us, so that
Yes.
we
Yes.
get a soundboard here. Right.
Yeah, give us your feedback. And Roshni, I'll put all of your links that you provided, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, all of that in the show notes so that everybody has an easy way to get a hold of you. And you're welcoming people to your community and for mentorship, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. If they need help with whatever we spoke about, or even what they're going through, feel free to send me a message. I read all my LinkedIn messages. Like, that is the only notification I have like put on. So, all those come to me. So feel free to send me there or on my email.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So listeners, check out the show notes, connect with Roshni, and you can also find a link to subscribe to the Alcorn Immigration Law newsletter in the show notes. And we send out twice a month the latest immigration law updates for high-skilled immigration, layoff, immigration strategies post-layoff, how to get an H-1B for your own company, how to get an EB-1A, EB-2 NIW, and more. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much for listening, and share this with a friend as well.